It's coming! Sholmes's cry pierced through the thick wall of fog around us. Wisps of vapor flowed over the pistol as I cocked it, and I waited, breathlessly, in the stillness. The silence lasted for what seemed an eternity, until, at last, it appeared. From the shadows of the cloud, an enormous beast sprang out upon us. A hound it was, but not such a hound as any mortal has ever seen. Its eyes glowed with a smoldering glare. The whole of its ox-sized body was outlined in white-hot flames. Its rumbling pant and hideous howl, so terrified was I that I began to tremble with fear. "Look well, Wilson," Sholmes declared, gazing upon the mystical beast. "For this is the diabolical hound of the Baskervilles."
Our first 2 months in London passed by in a flash. In that disconcerting courtroom experience we were first thrown into on the day we arrived in the country, and in Suzuki-san's terrible ordeal that followed closely behind, we had emerged victorious. However, there then came an abrupt end to our opportunities to appear in court. Which was hardly surprising, of course, since I was nothing more than an amateur, an unknown student of law from a faraway land. So life in our little office was very quiet. That is, until it was shattered one day by that fateful telegram. April 15th, 9:13 a.m., my legal consultancy. That morning, I was woken by the unreserved knocking on the door by the telegram boy. But after he'd gone, Susato-san's behavior became very obviously strange. Susato-san? Yes? Is it time to leave for court already? Let me see, what case is it today? I don't think I'm scheduled to defend anyone at the moment, am I? Oh, no, of course not. How silly of me. But I think Iris said she would make us breakfast this morning. So, shall we go down to Mr. Sholmes' suite? Yes, Iris makes the most delicious breakfast food. She does, doesn't she? And once our bellies are full, we can leave for court in fighting fit form. Let me see, what case is it today? Here we go again. Alright then. There you go. It means a great deal to me, you know, that you cherish his armband so, and wear it each time you appear in court. Well, it's very important to me. It's what shows that I'm a lawyer. And whenever I wear it, I feel as though it gives me strength through Kazuma. I absolutely can't be without it, especially when I'm at a critical point in a trial. But just the other day, I noticed you wearing it when we went to visit that park. Sometimes I forget to take it off. Don't judge me. So, what was it about? The telegram that was delivered this morning, I mean? Oh, a telegram? I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, but you're not gonna get away with that. Well, I didn't think I would. Actually, don't give it a moment's thought. It's nothing. Nothing interesting. Boring, in fact. Ahem. It was just a boring old telegram. That's 3 times now that that she's tried and failed to convince me it was nothing. I promise that I'll tell you about it at some point. Alright, I understand. I think. I suppose Saseki-san will have arrived back in Japan by now, won't he? Yes, I should think so. He left immediately after that terrible ordeal. Which would mean he should have completed the voyage already, or be just a few days away. A fortnight ago we had that very long telegram from him, do you remember? Complaining of seasickness. But by and large, it seems the voyage has been going well. Or he could have been buried at sea a long time ago. Is something wrong, Naruhodo-san? I was just wondering, what might have become of Saseki-san had he stayed in London? That's all. You mean as regards Lord Van Zeeks, the Reaper? Yeah, I can't help wondering if seasickness would have paled into significance in that case. What is it they say? That no one who stands in the dock can be saved from the Reaper, right? Like the way that nightmarish trial ended on the very day we arrived in London? Even 2 months on, the cause of that dreadful fire is still a mystery. Yeah, but at least Saseki-san is safely out of the country now. Presumably that means that the curse of the Reaper can only take effect within the confines of the city of London. Perhaps. Even if that's the case, it's little comfort. I have a terrible sense of foreboding. If the legend of the Reaper is to be believed, it would mean he wields the sword of justice himself. Come to think of it, I wonder what he's been up to these past 2 months. Surely not wielding that sword against more acquitted defendants. No, I don't think so. Apparently, Lord Van Zeeks hasn't appeared in court once since our last encounter. Oh. Yes, since Saseki-san's trial, he's withdrawn from judicial service again, it seems. Really? Just like before, when he wasn't seen in court at all for several years. So, it's just been me who's had to face him in his recent spate of trials then? Ah, just my luck. I wonder if luck doesn't come to it. Sorry? What was that? Oh, nothing. Never mind. What happened, Saseki-san? Did Lord Van Zeeks die? Someone died. I can tell but that much, but I still can't decide who. That spade has been in here since we started renting the planes. Oh, that is not a spade, Naruhodo-san. It is a shovel. No, shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a spade. No, spades are for digging. That is for scooping up loose material. It is a shovel. I don't want to dig a hole for myself, so let's leave it. Next you'll be telling me ladders and stepladders are the same thing. So this is the tea set that Susato-san brought with her from Japan. Let's hope she hasn't noticed me slipping sugar and milk into my cup when she makes it. It's just so bitter. Tea is a drink to be enjoyed, Naruhodo-san. You really don't have to force yourself to drink it, you know. I don't like to see you screw up your face, so... It's spring at last, and the weather is warmer now. But I love the smell of the fire and the steam rising from the kettle. Oh, would you like some tea, Naruhodo-san? Thank you, Susato-san, but I'm alright for now. With the green tea Susato-san makes me from time to time and Iris' unique herbal infusions, this place is paradise for a true tea lover. Green tea is such a wonderful accompaniment to British tea cakes, don't you think? I guess. What's that on the ground? We've only been here in London for about 2 months, but my desk has started to look a little messy already. You could tidy up once in a while. Susato-san, I always say, making a mess is a small sacrifice to pay for being able to further your studies. And time spent tidying up is time you can't devote to the same cause. And time spent on ridiculous arguments is time that could be better spent on some simple housework. She wins, but I'm supposed to be the lawyer here. The Dorama doll I brought with me from home. Still with only one eye colored in. I said I'd color the other eye once I won my first court case in here in Britain, but you have won, haven't you? Twice, in fact. Because I feel as though I'm still lacking as a lawyer. I'll tell you what. Why don't you color the other eye in once you think I'm a proper, fully fledged lawyer? If you insist. I see. Alright. We're done with this section. We were rather lucky to find that old aquarium left behind here. The prawns we put in there are doing rather well. And the anemones, too. It is a wonderful invention, isn't it? The sea behind glass inside your room. Another example of Great Britain's greatness. Having to clean it out and change the water isn't so great, though, is it? Well, there's always sacrifices. This must be the telegram. Let's see. No, you mustn't look at that. Not under any circumstances. Alright, I won't. I'm sorry, Naruhodo-san, but you can be very mischievous at times. Then put the telegram away if you don't want people looking at it. Jeez. Okay. Do you know, I've never seen inside your room there, Susato-san. I've never even peeped inside. I should think so, too. A young maiden's private chamber is a place of bittersweet secrets, you know. Whatever you say, young maiden. Whatever you say, young maiden. And I think that's about it. Converse? Nope. Present? Nope. Dishwasher? Nope. Alright. Next. Morning, Rado. Morning, Susie. Good morning, Iris. Iris. What is it, Reno? What is that terrible noise? It sounds like a cat being strangled. Yes. You noticed that, did ya? Early isn't in the best form this morning, it seems. Hello. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. Good morning. A good morning to die, perhaps. Has something happened, Mr. Sholmes? You look miserable, and the way you were playing the violin before. My little mind is dead. Music is dead. The world is dead. Damn this Blanchett existence. That's all it is, my dear fellow. Nothing of consequence. I'm afraid I don't understand. Well, Iris, isn't it time we ate? Some dry toast and insipid coffee for me, if it's not too much trouble. What? Oh, look, it's Wagahei. Wagahai. Good morning, boy. That must be some sort of tiny door for cats to use. But how did it get there? Well then, everyone, time for breakfast. Oh, wonderful. Let me help you, Iris. It would indeed be a fine day to die. I knew something looked different. Something is missing from Mr. Sholmes's desk. Here you go, Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes, could I ask your opinion about this? You lure me to raise my languid head with the promise of some mental exaltation. Yet in my morbid depression, I am confronted with the most mundane of problems. Oh. My mind finds greater stimulation in the unforgiving monotony of the floor than in your miserable offering. Always glad to help. Oh, my head weighs heavy on my shoulders. Okay. You seem to be very unhappy this morning, Mrs. Sholmes. What's happened? It used to be the case. That in my hands. This violin sung like the dawn chorus. Its mellissonant tones would make flowers bloom. It would. But now the muses are unamused with me. The goddess of music have thrown me over. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? For hours I have bowed, for days even. Through the night I have endeavored, to no avail. That sound, my tone, is lost. That brilliant, clear, unwavering tone, gone forever. No more recitals of unbridled emotion. Well, you haven't been practicing much lately, have you, Hurley? Don't worry, I'm sure it will come back to you in time. Heed my words, Mr. Naruhodo. The goddesses of the arts are fickle. One day they bestow genius on a man, the next they unmercifully withdraw it. Oh, dear. Why is this happening to me? If they take the turn I have for the violin from me, what is left for pity's sake? What is left? Deduction, perhaps? Isn't that what you're known for? Mr. Sholmes, I don't like to pry, but your desk looks rather empty today. Well done, Miss Sosato. Your observational skills do you credit. Oh, no, Mr. Sholmes, they pale into insignificance when compared to yours. You'd struggle not to notice, wouldn't you? You mean Early's great analytoscope? That's at Witty Banks now. Sorry, it's at a windy bank? No, Windy Banks. the pawnbrokery. Pawn? What? You mean you've pawned that enormous machine of yours? It has some considerable value, you see. Quite undeservingly. But isn't it a very important machine for your work? I do wish you had consulted us if your situation had become so desperate. I should have gladly passed what little income I have to you. Dear madam, things are far from desperate. But the pawnbroker has your wonderful machine. How could it be anything but desperate? Making use of a pawnbroker is quite ordinary here in London, I assure you. It is? It doesn't sound ordinary at all. It would seem that neither of you fully understand how pawnbroking works. Oh, what's to understand exactly? What did you mean when you said we didn't fully understand how pawnbroking works? To the people of London, pawnbrokeries are akin to banks. Banks? On Mondays, merchants relinquish their finest jackets and trappings to their pawnbroker of choice. With the money they receive in return, they are able to trade happily through the week. And then on Saturdays, they go to recover their things using the money they've earned. I had no idea. This has been a fascinating lesson for us. Everyone does it, you see, especially people in inner London. And should they have money to spare, they would purchase another fine jacket. Not to wear, obviously, but to pawn, should the need arise. Oh, how ingenious. So whenever we have something that's getting in the way, we leave it at Windybanks, you see. A pawnbroker can be thought of as an extremely secure vault. Who would have thought that even pawnbrokers are different here in Great Britain? Of course, you have to watch Early with it. Sometimes he pawns things he really shouldn't. Don't you, Early? What does it matter? The world is dead to me now. Right. That's good to know. Okay. Look at Mr. Sholmes' desk. It's completely clear. Isn't that enormous machine usually on it? We can never hope to understand what goes on in the great detective's mind, Mr. Naruhodo. Why, next time we're invited, we may find he's vacated the entire suite. That's scarily plausible, actually. Nothing but that one glass on it. Yes, the letters V and R inscribed on the wall in bullet holes. Isn't it the initials of the Queen or something? It is so delightful to see it in the flesh. Having read about it in the stories, it was so inspiring. I fired 100 arrows into my own wall at home to make the character for Sue of Susato, you know. Super? But perhaps there are some things the great detective does they don't need to copy? Yeah, just a thought. There's all sorts on these shelves. Chemistry apparatus, books, papers, and lots of things I've never seen before. It's all heaped up so high, I can't help feeling that the whole place is gonna topple at any moment. Oh, it is such a charmingly untidy collection of paraphernalia, isn't it? It just looks messy to me, like my desk. But you, Mr. Naruhodo, must learn to tidy up after yourself. No favoritism there, then. Fuck. Skull? No, nothing weird about that skull. Okay. Looks like that huge metal chest is being used as a table for tea and coffee. It seems very sturdy, with an equally sturdy lock. Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't go around opening things. I always have to keep an eye on you, don't I? You are very mischievous. How did you come to that conclusion? Alright, we're getting some repeats here, I know, but still. The fire is burning comfortingly in the grate again today. It's a very different feeling to a Japanese hibachi somehow. Oh, look at that photographic print of a lady displayed on the mantelpiece. Could it be? Yes, it must be. It is a woman. Oh, how exciting. Is that supposed to mean something to me? Let me guess. Irene Adler or something. Ideen Ardor. These are all mementos of Mr. Sholmes' past cases, I think. If he'd been involved in my case, I wonder if the beefsteak from La Carnival would be on display here. A mystery shoe, a curious hammer, some mysterious dancing men, a bust of Napoleon. Ha! What an entrancing collection. It looks like an untidy assortment of junk to me, rather like what's on my shelves. Well, you really ought to learn to keep your things in order, Mr. Naruhodo. No favoritism there at all. Yep. Alright. Ah, this must be Iris's place. Come to think of it, I haven't seen Iris doing much writing recently. But there's paper already set up in the typewriter. Look, as if she's about to start. That reminds me, when I mentioned that Iris was in the process of writing a full-fledged novel, Mr. Natsume was most impressed. Ah, yes, Mr. Natsume. That is what I'll be doing too once I'm back in Japan, he said, through tightly clenched fists and teeth. Yeah, he sure did. That's a charming little white shelf, and full of charming little bottles too. But the contents of them aren't so quite charming, it seems. Science is the future, Mr. Naruhodo. You cannot deny it. I'm saving my money so that I can buy some chemistry apparatus as well. Law, chemistry, takedown throws. What diverse skills you boast, Miss Sasato. As useful as they are, I'm not sure that my throwing skills are worthy of inclusion in that list. Well, I'd say they deserve at least an honorable mention. Iris's beautiful tea set is there on the table as usual. A cup of one of her special herbal blends always helps me to relax when I'm feeling the strain. The English pastime of tea has many similarities with our own tea ceremony customs, don't you think? It's the idea of hospitality behind it. That is the essence of tea. Sure. This is where Iris notes down ideas, isn't it? Let's see, what does it say today? Ah, the Boscombe Valley Mystery. Ooh, how intriguing! It must be the title of Iris's latest work. Oh my, I wonder what fantastic tale awaits us. Sada-san looks like an angel, but I bet she's dreaming of the most unsavory crime you could imagine. And she can imagine plenty. More than I can, that's for sure. Alright then. Iris. Mr. Natsume's cat seems to have settled into his new home then. Oh yes, and I've become very attached to little Waggy. It would appear his previous owner is completely forgotten to him. Cats are unfeeling creatures. Their mews are as empty as the hearts of the muses. If Mr. Natsumi had no intention of taking Waggy back to Japan, I wonder why he kept him in the first place. I expect he would have taken him if he could, but pets are strictly forbidden aboard steamships in our experience. And for good reason. Terrible things can happen if the rules of passage are not obeyed. Well, I don't mind, because Waggy is adorable. Yeah, he really is. Oh yeah, what about the door? I don't remember seeing that tiny thing in the main door before. Where did that come from? Oh, you noticed? You are observant, Runo. Look, I use this. It's my latest invention. What? What is that? I call it the cat flapper-mat. Gosh, a machine for making doors just for cats? That's right. It can make a cat flap for a little fur friend like Waggy in seconds. And it can do it in any door at all, no matter what it's made of. It's very powerful, you see. Wouldn't it have been quicker just to make the cat flap rather than making a machine to make the cat flap? Well, yeah, maybe. But now I can make cat flaps anywhere I like. Oh, I think it's wonderful. You must make one for us in the door of our office upstairs, Iris. She really knows how to come up with unconventional inventions, this girl. Hee hee hee. Oh, what was that? Wagahai? What was that? Oh no! Waga is tangled up in your violin. I think he thinks it's a toy. No, what's he doing to it? Oh dear, Mr. Sholmes' precious violin. Why should I care? What? I shouldn't be surprised. If the cat is a more accomplished musician than I now. Mr. Sholmes really is in poor spirits, isn't he? Well, anyway, I'll put it back where it lives, shall I, Early? Out of the cat's reach if possible. Maybe we should assess the damage. Do we have it in court record? No? Okay. The violin... Where was the violin? Was it... There it is. So this is the violin, is it? It's a Stradivarius, one of the finest violins in the world, made by the renowned Italian luthier Antonio Stradivari. Oh, I see. It doesn't really look like anything special to me. I happened upon it covered in dust, languishing in a pawn shop down a nondescript back alley. The broker had no idea of its value, so I was able to purchase it for a mere 55 shillings. How honorable of you. And until today it has been my faithful companion and in every great Paganini-inspired performance I have made. I ask you, is there reason to live in a world devoid of music, to tolerate this blanched existence? No. There is none. Mr. Sholmes? What, dear madam? What? My thoughts are preoccupied with fancies of release from this dull routine. Well, it's about the violin. It looks very different to normal, don't you think? What do you mean, Miss Susato? Oh, Susie's right. Yes, the tone of the wood is completely different. And that's not all. I'm sure there was no crack here before. Wait, it's not even the right size, is it? What's this? I'm terribly sorry to have to tell you this, Mr. Sholmes, but that instrument isn't a violin at all. Then what? I believe it's an entirely different instrument called a viola. What? What? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, are you alright? You're right! You're quite right. This isn't my faithful Stradivarius. So what? What, pray, is this piece of stringed flotsam? Not your faithful performing partner, then? Ah, I see what must have happened. You do, Iris? This is just a simple mix-up. Sounds like Iris might be able to tell us exactly what's happened if we ask her. Well, let's go and ask her. What did you mean by a mix-up, Iris? Well, you say, this viola, I mean, was at Windy Banks until last week. At the pawnbroker's? Not Mr. Jones' beloved musical partner. There's a proverb from the East with which you are no doubt familiar, my dear fellows. Always let a beloved child travel. Yes, indeed. So you sent your beloved violin to the pawnbrokers in the hope that it will experience personal growth? Oh, what a wonderful idea. Last week I pawned my great analytoscope in order to release my precious instrument. But it would appear Mr. Wendyback mistakenly furnished me with this tawdry fiddle instead. But my ears cannot be deceived by the hollow timbre of this piece of timber. No, but your every sense was deceived by the fact that it had just strings. Pshaw! A fine state of affairs this is. And why, I always say, Mr. Naruhodo, never trust a pawnbroker. They will try to fiddle you every time. But earlier you told us that you could think of a pawnbrokery as an extremely secure vault. Come, Mr. Naruhodo. Dilly-dallying will get you nowhere. Sorry? Crunching your toast with that vacant aspect. Pressing your coffee so obtusely. Are you not a little embarrassed by your own conduct, considering the urgency with which you are faced? We must visit Mr. Windybank's brokery at once. That's right, isn't it, Mr. Sholmes? Precisely, Mrs. Otto. Without a moment's delay. But I haven't finished my bacon and eggs. My dear fellow, surely you do not still intend to crunch your bacon with an increasingly vacant aspect, to press your egg ever more obtusely. Alright, say no more. Let's go then. Don't worry, Reno. I'll be happy to eat it up for you again later. Oh, thank you, Iris. As it happens, I'm rather curious to see what a British pawnbroker's looks like. Alright. No time to waste then. To the pawnbrokers. And here we are. So this is a British pawnbrokery. Oh my, there are all sorts of tools and contraptions in here that I've never laid eyes on before. Ah, Sasato-san, and that spark of wonder in your eyes, you can't wait to scour the shelves, can you? I get the impression you enjoy places like this. Oh yes, I don't know why, but seeing a Seeing such a lot of things I don't understand is a real thrill for me. My dear fellows, let us not forget why we are here. Oh, Mr. Sholmes. We are calling on matters of business, not pleasure. And clearly Mr. Sholmes means business too, judging from the spark of fury in his eyes. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, sir. Welcome back. Did you hear that brazen welcome? Well, yeah, we are potential customers after all. We are disgruntled customers, Mr. Naruhodo, and it's time to inform Mr. Windybank of our ire. Come, the fight is afoot. Naturally, you will recall this, which I retrieved from you some days ago. Yes. This second-rate fiddle is not my faithful instrument, Mr. Windybank. The color of the wood is different. It has holes in it. It's not even the same size. A wonderful summary of our observations, Mr. Sholmes. I'm so very sorry, sir. How utterly unforgivable of me. An unexcusable mistake for a pawnbroker. There's only one way to make amends. I shall have to take my own life. I don't think that will be necessary, do you? If I may just say one thing before I pop off. Yes? It was you, sir, Mr. Sholmes, who took it upon himself to remove the item the other day, I believe. Sorry? As I recall, I entered the showroom to fetch your violin when I heard, here it is. You did? And when I turned to controvert you, you took a viola and left, sir. However, there can be no doubt that the blame lies firmly at my own door for allowing you to leave. So I shall not grumble or grouse any longer. May this guild die with me! No, stop, my dear fellow. The fault is mine. Phew. It would appear that the fight is over. I do humbly apologize, Mr. Windybank. Evidently, my questionable disposition precipitated this tragedy. Precipitated this tragedy. Well, you wouldn't be Mr. Sherlock Holmes without a questionable disposition now, would ya? I do believe you may be right, sir. It's either laugh or cry, I suppose. You are, it must be said, one of my more challenging customers. I need to remind you of the peculiar collection of items you've brought through my door in the past. Oh, peculiar items? In the extreme, ma'am. For example, the unpublished manuscript of an eponymous work, the novels of Sherlock Holmes or some such. Oh my, a new full-fledged novel? And unpublished? A story I have yet to read, you mean? Forgive me! Wait, before you die, you must tell me more. I must know more. Tell me everything. Wow, Susato-san is really fired up now. Is there really an unpublished story under this very roof? Well, one day the gentleman here brought in an old metal chest, you see. I should like to entrust this to your care for a while, Mr. Windybank. For a chest like that, 1 shilling, sir, not a farthing more. It has something of very great value indeed. The latest manuscript, recounting the adventures of one Mr. Sherlock Holmes. I beg your pardon, a manuscript? You wish to deposit a manuscript? Indeed I do, for I am confident it will be quite safe here. And that was that. As such, Mr. Shams's latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom. Mr. Shams, is that really true? Do I sense that someone doesn't want to talk about this? I continue to pay your fee, do I not? Then kindly continue to store my belongings securely. Of course, sir, of course. They're safe and sound, may I assure you, all my life. This is all very strange. I wonder, could I ask you something? Ah, a gentleman from the east, I see. Yeah, that sable suit. I suppose I could offer you 6 pence for it. Without wishing to offend, a tone is somewhat dull. Sorry? Aha, but for your splendid attire, ma'am, 5 guineas, no less. The colours are exquisite, the design exotic, Eastern artistry at its finest, may I say. Oh my, 5 guineas, you say? Well, I'll take it off now. How interesting. Why do I feel as though I've suffered some sort of defeat here? Actually, I was hoping to ask you about your business. I've heard it said that pawnbrokeries are used rather like banks here in London. Yes, sir, indeed. Many of my customers utilize the establishment as you describe. I appraise their items and offer them a proportionate loan and 10 months of secure storage. If in that time they repay their original sum to me plus the agreed interest, their items are happily returned. But what happens if they don't pay you the money? Then the items are offered for sale in my shop, as you can see on the shelves behind me. So you never sell items before the 2 months has passed, then? That's right, ma'am, that's right. Which means some considerable responsibility rests on my shoulders. Should a customer's precious belongings be lost, the only recompense from me is to end it all. The very idea, Mr. Windibank, is an absurdity. One should never talk of one's demise so casually, says the man who was telling us all it was a good day to die this morning. And let us not forget that I have already helped you take measures to ensure such a tragedy never occurs. Oh, what sort of measures? I engineered a simple device which Mr. Windibank has installed here in his shop. I call it the red-handed recorder. Is that not so, Mr. Windibank? What was that deep sigh about? Alright. Before we continue with the questions, I want to see what this shop is all about. What are you doing, my dear fellows? We are not here to browse for interesting curios. We have come to teach this broker a lesson. Oh, but there are just so many fascinating items. It looks as though we'll have to talk to Mr. Windibank first, before you can explore in here, Mr. Sato. Oh, well, never mind then. I guess we have to continue. What on earth is a red-handed recorder? Use your eyes, my dear fellow. There are 2 just below the ceiling. I can see what appears to be a camera attached to some sort of timing device. Very astute. It is indeed a camera, furnished with some 100 pieces of celluloid film. And every 30 minutes precisely, the camera automatically records the appearance of the shop. Here, I have an example I can show you. Ah yes, a print from the camera set to record the activity at the shop counter. I developed a special type of film so sensitive it can produce a crystal clear image even in darkness. Really? That's extraordinary. Yes, you can clearly see the counter and the door behind it, look. So you see, were someone to enter the premises with ill intent, his identity would be summarily exposed. But did you not say that the photographic prints were taken at 30-minute intervals? Indeed, as you say, my dear madam. Then what if the incident were to occur in between times? One could say that would be a cruel twist of fate. I must confess to you, devices have been giving me some cause for distress of late. I beg your pardon, Mr. Windybank. Surely they are anything but distressing. Reassuring is the word. It's the cost of the film, sir. You most graciously placed not one but 2 cameras in my shop after all, which means I must pay for 100 utterly useless prints every single day. I'm afraid the cost of the film will break me before I'm very much older. Nevertheless, a small price to pay to ensure the safety of my preferred pawnbroker, you know. My dear fellows, we verge on an age where safety and security come at a price. Oh, heavens help us. Now then, Mr. Shams, allow me to return your precious violin. Ah, the very thing. Thank you, Mr. Windybank. Perhaps this might mark the end of the peculiar items you try to pop them. Because if anything were to happen to one of them, this would be the only answer. I really think you ought to stop waving that gun around. Someone could get hurt. Fear not. Sorry? I've only loaded a single bullet, so no one but myself could possibly be armed. That's not really what I meant. Good day to you then, Mr. Windybank. It's been a pleasure as always, Mr. Jones. So, Mr. Naruhodo, now we can explore at last. Good. Here we go. That's not a calendar you could easily miss, is it? 15th of April, today's date. Yes, that's not for sale, I must point out. It is an Eastern-style page-a-day calendar. Every night at midnight I tear off the front page to reveal the following day's date. The perfect calendar for a tearaway fellow such as yourself, Mr. Windybank. And who was it who walked out of here with the wrong violin before? Well, when the agreed storage period has passed without repayment, articles are fortified, you see. So I have to keep a close eye on the date. It's something of a pawnbroker's obsession, you might say. Oh yes, I can see you're very dedicated to your job. That's one word for it. 3 globes of gold. Is that some sort of charm? Dear me, have you not seen that sign before? No, never. The 3 golden balls are, in Great Britain at least, the universal sign of a pawnbrokery. There are more than 700 such establishments in the capital, all sharing the same sign. Oh, I see. I had not imagined your ignorance was so profound. Oh, well, what is the significance of the 3 golden balls, then? Does it have some special meaning? That is entirely unimportant here, dear madam. Irrelevant, even. You merely don't know. Brilliant. Now, what do you suppose this rather enormous machine does? It seems to have little windows, 2 little windows for looking through. Allow me to enlighten you, my dear fellows. What you are looking at is a stereoscope. A stereoscope. Fascinating. It is aptly named, I assure you. Look through the eyepieces and see for yourself. Oh, I should be delighted to. Excuse me a moment while I just have a look. Just before you do, there is something I should point out. My dear fellows, in order to see the image properly, stereoscopically, as it were, you need to be cross-eyed. However, if that is beyond you, it is of little consequence today. Alright then, I'm going to try it. Mr. Naruhodo, you must see! At once! Oh, alright then. So I need to be cross-eyed, like I'm trying to look at my own nose. What's inside? What the? I don't believe it! It's just a photographic print, but it seems like you could reach out and touch it. Yes, the sense of depth is startling, is it not? Stereoscopes are one of London's many fads. They're often found in little stalls in the park. People queue for hours to see them. Why? Why are people meddling with such black magic? It is no magic, my dear madam. It is, well, far too complicated to explain at present. We should save this lesson for another day. Oh. Look at this. Whatever could it be used for? I have no idea. There's a small catch just here, look. We're gonna open it, aren't we? Oh my, that is amazing. It has some sort of spring-loaded mechanism, which we'll never manage to put back to the way it was before. What are you two doing? What? Us? Nothing. No, nothing at all. Whatever this device is, it seems to have a pair of little windows to look through. I feel as though I've seen something rather similar to this elsewhere. Okay. Interesting, interesting. What an assortment of things there are on these shelves here. Crockery, footwear, clocks, and watches. Almost anything you care to imagine. Those are fortified items, offered for sale by the pawnbroker. What does that really mean, though? When you pawn, or colloquially pop, an item, the broker loans you money against its worth. He stores the item for an agreed period of time, after which the loan must be repaid. If not, he is free to display it in his shop for sale, at a price of his choosing. Oh, yeah, now you've explained it, I'm noticing little price tags on everything. Of course, simply by paying the agreed interest on the loan, one can extend the period of safekeeping. So you may pawn that black garb of yours without fear, my dear fellow. My treasured university uniform? Never. It embodies my student spirit. Okay, that's it for that. Look at this! What could this lovely big shiny box be? That, my dear madam, is a music box. Surely you have such things in your own country. Oh my, yes, but I've certainly never seen one so large before. Shall we listen a while? Ah, what a sublime sound. It's like the music of angels. I've never heard anything like it before in my life. This particular specimen is of the larger variety, commonly found in public houses and restaurants. There's a metal disc inside on which the notes to be played are recorded. Simply by replacing the disc with another, any music you care to imagine can be played. My goodness, what a simply delightful machine. Indeed, though their popularity has waned recently with the development of the gramophone, of course. Science and technology advance at such an overwhelming pace. What? I'm the two-part machine? I ain't fair, and you know it. It's made with a penny, miss. Oh, the article... What was his voice again? The article's made with a penny, miss. I can't afford more. Sounds like there's an argument brewing over by the counter. Come on, that can't be right. Have you even had a proper butcher's at it? I've seen all I need to see. I've seen all I need to see, young girl. Wait, don't we know... I'm sure I recognize her. Oh, yes. It is the young lady from Mr. McGilda's trial 2 months ago. Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. She's a chancer, earns her crust among large crowds, reliving people of their purses. What's commonly called a pickpocket. Golden Benny, you lot? Hello, Mr. Lestrade. I hope you've been well. Hey, what? You remember me then, do you? Well, I remember being completely surrounded by smoke, that's for sure. So, what are you doing in here? Down and out like the rest of us. Nothing to eat. Come to pop that black weasel. Sorry, coat, have you? What is it about this black uniform that makes everyone comment on it? Ah, good day. Unless I'm much mistaken. You would be the young pickpocket who stole our experimental smoke grenade launcher. Ah, Mrs. Holmes. So, you have something of value to pawn, do you? Allow me to see the article, and I shall negotiate with Mr. Windybank on your behalf. Pull the other one. I don't need no help from some stuck-up D. Get out of my business. Go on, or I'll make trouble for you. As you wish, Miss Lestrade. I will happily remove myself from your presence. He's really done it. He's gone. I'm so sorry, but as I said, there's really no room for negotiation here. What is that thing he has in his hand? Some kind of metal disc? And you, go on, leave me alone. No, Mr. Lestrade, just pretend we aren't here. We shan't be offended in the slightest. Susato-san can really stand her ground when she wants to. Whatever. Huh. Somehow I didn't really think you were the sort of person who'd use a pawnbroker, Miss Lestrade. Yeah, well I am, alright. I'm a Londoner, just like everyone else. That problem, is it? No, not at all. It's just that, well... Oh, I get it. I know what you're thinking. That thing probably don't even belong to her. Probably got it on a dive, didn't she? Yeah, I can see it written all over your chubby chase. Well, I might have been thinking something along those lines. You're not going to deny it, Mr. Naruhodo. Alright then. I'm just gonna come out and ask you straight. Do you pawn things that you steal from other people? Well, I don't know how the best answer to that, really, Suppose, sometimes. You're not going to deny it either, Mr. Strong. But not this time, I swear. That thing belongs to me. The disc that Mr. Windibank is holding? Perhaps we should see what he has to say about all this. Alright, in a bit. We still got some things to look at. Or maybe that was the sign that we finished looking at things. Look at Mr. Windibank, watching diligently over his shop. There are still so many things I'm curious about. I don't believe this is a time for browsing, Mr. Naruhodo. We should probably see whether that argument's been resolved yet, I suppose. Oh. Damn it. Fine. She's been in there before, of course, this little tatterdemalion. I see. I brought some dubious article or other with her every single time, I might add. Dubious? What are you trying to say? I'm an honest customer, mate. So, is there something dubious about the disc she brought in today? Well, if only it were that simple. Sorry? What do you mean? What she actually brought in was a storage ticket. Ah, a storage ticket. So, Miss Lestrade has actually come to redeem an article from you today, is that right? Yeah, that's right. A girl like me has a lot of stuff what needs storing. Alright, yeah, that's definitely dubious. The article in question would have been fortified at midnight tonight, but she gave me a ticket for it, repaid both the loan and the interest. I was obliged to return the article. But what was the article? Do tell us, Mr. Windibank. Her scamp is wearing it, ma'am. It's the overcoat that she redeemed. Oh. What? What's wrong with that? It fits, doesn't it? I mean, it's mine, so of course it does. So, what about the disc then? How does that come into all of this? The disc is something else. A new article to pawn if the girl and I can agree a price. Mr. Windibank, what exactly is this metal disc that Miss Lestrade has brought in? It seems to have hundreds of tiny little bumps on its surface. Oh, this is a music disc, you see, for use inside a music box. In a music box? What, you don't even know what a music box is? Tch, you Eastern lot ain't too savvy, eh? I know what a music box is. I've just never seen one of those discs before. The small protruders on a metal disc encode the tune to be played by the music box. You simply insert a disc and set the machine going, and beautiful music plays. It's so incredible. Tell us, what tune is on this disc? Well, I'm afraid I couldn't tell you that. There are so many different types of music boxes, see? British made, German, Swiss. I have no way of knowing which particular machine this disc was made for. Oh, I see. That's it in a nutshell. I wouldn't have any customers for an item like this, even if a young lady thought if it did. Really, I'm already offering more than I should at a penny. That's a pack of lies. He told me he did. He said it was, well... He? Who are you talking about? Never you mind that. It just ain't right, that's all. That disc is worth good money, I know it is. Well, then, you have to try your luck at another pawnbroker's, won't ya? Ugh. I'm confused. I thought you said that Miss Lestrade brought in a storage ticket today. It's really quite simple. Yeah, the tribe brought me a storage ticket and the money owed on it, as you say. for this heavy black coat, which you returned to her care, as I understood it.
That's right, yeah. And rather unsurprisingly, as soon as the little ragamuffin put the thing on, she went rifling through the pockets.
Oh, you mean...
What? Don't you know it's rude to stare at a lady?
Oh, I see. So it came from the pocket of the overcoat, did it?
If you mean this disc, then yeah. Exactly, Mum.
And she immediately tried to pawn it. For quite a high price as well. This is all rather suspicious, I think.
Give it up. I'm just trying to pawn something like anyone else would.
Mr. Strahd, may I ask who deposited the overcoat here in the first place?
Well, me?
It doesn't really appear to be your size.
Me, old man. It's me old man's, ain't it?
Is it, Mr. Strahd? Yeah, this is definitely all rather suspicious.
Out of my way, please.
What the? Who's this picture postcard English gentleman?
Good day to you, ladies, gentlemen. What's your problem, eh?
There is no problem, as long as you remove yourself. I've a matter to discuss with the proprietor.
But...
And if you intend to make a problem of it, I shall see you outside, little girl, for the hiding you deserve.
Look, I ain't obvious. I ain't done talking with him yet. If you think you're such a gent, you should know how to wait in line.
Well, you are an impudent little brat, aren't you? As well as a pickpocket.
Eh? Who are you? How do you know who I am?
The question is, how do you not know who I am? You haven't the courtesy even to remember the faces of your victims, it seems.
What? You mean not from you?
Broker?
Yes, sir.
I believe this filthy pocket thief has just redeemed an article from you now.
Yeah.
The article in question belongs to me. I demand for it to be returned at once.
Oh my. Now that's a lie. What are you trying to pull, eh?
Give me back my overcoat, you wastrel, as needless to say, any music box disc too.
Nah, you can't have it. You just can't. It's me old man's, or it was. Now it's mine.
Goodness, Mr. Naruhodo. This is a very awkward situation. Yeah, I think perhaps we should hear both sides of the story in a little more detail. Miss Lestrade is what the gentleman is saying.
What do you think? It's all lies, innit? Obviously. I swear on my life, I ain't never laid eyes on that dandy before.
Let's hear it now, you little ragamuffin.
Oh, let's hear it now, you little ragamuffin. You stole it, didn't ya? That ticker you brought in here just now? No, I swear it. I swear to God.
It's barely an hour ago. I was walking along the streets, minding my own business, when this little gutterling ran into me. I knew at once what had happened. I've been robbed yet again, I thought to myself. Those wretched pickpockets. Yet again. Oh yes, as you can see, I am a man of impeccable style. This isn't the first time that I've been targeted by these back-slum scoundrels.
Now then, relinquish my overcoat. Come along now, Mr. Stride. Give the good gentleman his coat back. If you're gonna cause trouble, I shall have no choice but to call the police. Hold on, why does everyone think it's me? Just look at his dandy coat, and you think I'm the dodgy one? I'm sorry, but no one's going to believe you. Well, what about evidence? Yeah. Where's your ears are showing something, eh? Come on, let's see it.
Oh, I have evidence, naturally.
You what?
Evidence that the article Mr. Stride redeemed actually belongs to the gentleman? Of course, we need only consult Mr. Windybank's ledger to know the truth. We'll be able to look up the name of the person who deposited the article in the first place.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm very sorry, but I'm afraid that won't be possible.
Oh?
I'll never ask customers' names. That's a strict policy of mine.
But why not?
Well, now, as you can imagine, some of my customers have circumstances to consider. A great many of them prefer to maintain their anonymity.
Yes, I see. But then, how can you know if an article belongs to the person asking to redeem it?
Oh, it's quite simple. Good sir, might I trouble you for a watchword associated with the article in question?
Of course. It's... Professor!
Yeah, that's right. And all the evidence we need. This gentleman is the rightful owner of the article, without doubt.
A watchword? Interesting. Well, what do you think about that? So, about these watchwords, Mr. Windybank.
As I just explained, I never ask customers' names when they deposit items with me. There are many reasons why certain customers would like to keep their activities secret.
That wasn't exactly a subtle glance at Mr. Sholmes now, was it? Great detectives have no dark secrets. Not at all.
Yeah, well, anyway. That's why I always ask for a watchword whenever I accept a new article. In money-wise, it's like a secret combination of numbers used to unlock a vault. A date of deposit, a description, and a watchword uniquely identify each item. And of course, I give the choice ticket to the customer. When someone comes to redeem something, I ask for the ticket and the watchword.
And if that someone tells you the correct watchword, you return the article.
That's right, sir. Yeah, just as soon as the requisite fee is paid.
And I have supplied you with the information you require already, but for the avoidance of doubt, the article in question is an overcoat, deposited 2 months ago on February 15th. With the watchword of Professor.
All perfectly correct information, sir.
But how? Really, this is beyond a joke now. There's no further room for doubt. Well? Oh, okay. Excuse me, but who are you? One would expect the inquirer to introduce himself first. Though clearly you are not British, so perhaps our ways are foreign to you. Oh, sorry. Yes, we're from the Empire of Japan. We're studying here. Oh yes, Japan. I've heard talk of the place. Its inhabitants live on some fiery brown-colored soup, dressed up with exotic spices. You might be thinking of somewhere else. What was that theatrical gesticulation about? Perhaps... Anyway, if you are a gentleman, sir, you offer your name first, before inquiring after the name of another. Of course, yes. I am Renisuke Naruhodo. I am a lawyer. Well, a student of law, really. My name is Susato Makitoba. I am Mr. Naruhodo's assistant. I see. I see. My name is Benedict. Yes, Eggert Benedict. And enchanté. He's so refined in how he holds himself and how he speaks, but that name is suspicious. Now, to the matter at hand. Ha, ho, he. My overcoat, return it at once to someone with the style to carry it off. Every move he makes, every breath he takes, I can't stop watching him. Oh. So, let that be an end to the matter. And thank you for your custom, Mr. Eggert Benedict, sir. With such reasonable rates of interest, I may even decide to come back. This is why I hate grown-ups. Just because I'm a diver, everyone thinks that makes me a lawyer. And the contents of the coat pockets, if you please, broker. Well, of course, sir. Here's your disc for you. Just this one. Important, sir. I was expecting another. That is, I deposited another disc. Oh dear. I regret to inform you, sir, that what was deposited with me was merely the overcoat. This happened to be in one of the pockets, but I was completely unaware of it until now. So, Gatterling, you're hiding more of what's rightfully mine, are you? Says who, I know nothing about it. Very well. Then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style. Wait a minute. That disc is mine. What do you think you're doing, little tramp? You've drawn blood, you filthy animal. Oh my, yes, there's blood on the disc. It's because of all those sharp little bumps. The man must have scratched his finger on them. I found it first, alright? I mean, it belonged to me, old man. So you're not having it. Oh, you take it. Me? Before I hang out to it, have it off me again. So you keep hold of it. Mr. Stride, why is this disc so important to her? You there, in the black library. Hand that disc to me at once, please. No, don't. He's lying. Grown-ups are all liars. What do I do now? How am I gonna resolve this? Okay, I thought we were done here, but I guess not. Mr. Windybank is clearly at a loss here. We have to do something about this before he reaches for that revolver of his. Okay, he's not gonna be any help. Oh, I think I know who's gonna be of help. Mr. Sholmes? What are you examining with such keen interest there? As you enjoy a bar of caramel, I see. So, you found me at last, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? After that young pickpocket sent me on my way, I was forced to lurk in the shadows. Cruelly ostracized as the rest of you partook in the jovial atmosphere of fellowship. I had nothing to occupy my mind, but was too ashamed to let society see what my downfall had done to me. So, feigning mock interest, I pretended to examine the tedious trinkets in this desolate place. whilst, as you shrewdly observed, gnawing on the only friend I have left, this 7% solution of caramel. Pray, do you claim to understand the depths of my despair, Mr. Naruhodo? But how could you? I was so lonely, so desperately lonely. Then why on earth didn't you rejoin the conversation? Things have gone from bad to worse here, you know. Yes, I overheard much of your conversation. Or rather, in my craving for human contact, my ears devoured every word that was uttered. You really were sad, weren't you? Poor Mr. Sholmes, I feel simply awful for you. It would seem that my inferences are correct. Oh, surely you're not about to tell us that you've solved the entire case once again? My dear madam, sometimes I wonder, were my genius for deduction to be commoditized, how much could I pawn it for? It seems Mr. Sholmes had another one of his flashes of inspiration. But who knows if it will help us resolve the situation between Mr. Strahd and the mysterious gentleman. What's the right thing to do here? Yeah, sure, why not? Oh, I should have done the... I should have ignored him. Well, Mr. Strahd, it would appear you'll find yourself in something of a predicament. Where the blazes have you been, eh? Pardon? Well, ladies in trouble, a true gent's supposed to be very help. Straight away, not an hour later. Harsh. Who? And who, pray tell, are you? Mr. Agatha Benedict, you have, in my eyes, a veritably encyclopedic array of curiosities about your person. Nevertheless, there are two immovable conclusions I have drawn. I beg your pardon. The first is this. The true reason for your visit to this pawnbroker today is something you have not yet revealed. And the second is this. A considerable crime is in contemplation, one you will orchestrate with intent to steal a vast sum of money. Well, Mr. Benedict, what say you to my deductions? How? He's turned as white as a hard-boiled egg. It would seem that once again, Mr. Sholmes has made a flawless deduction. Just who do you think you are, sir? Ah, yes, as I hoped. That is precisely the pained expression I was looking for. So, shall we begin? The time has come for yet another Herlock Sholmes's... The time has come for yet another of Herlock Sholmes's logic and reasoning spectacular. Alright. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured to this pawnbroker today. You claim to have followed this pickpocket here, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. As revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, what brought you to this shop in the first place is the staff recruitment flyer. That piece of paper in your hand is a staff wanted advertisement from this very shop. Yet even the most unobservant would soon realize that a man of your appearance has no need for such employ. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. The cane which you unwittingly clutched to your person exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. What utter rot! I've had this for years. The contradiction of which I speak, of course, is the missing ferrule. The end of any walking cane would be terminated with a metal ferrule to protect the wooden tip. And yet, detailed analysis shows the wooden tip of the stick to be utterly bare. Therefore, there is only one conclusion. The rod that you hold in your hand, which appears to be a walking cane, is in fact no cane at all. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? Well, add in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. From the moment I saw it, my suspicions were aroused. What walking cane demands such a stout handle? Mused I. But of course, as I said, this is no walking cane. No, that rod is the broken handle of a shovel. What? Are you insane? And now, having determined this undeniable truth, the conclusion is clear. Your true motive for coming here was to take employment at this establishment in order to excavate the ground beneath the premises. What a calculated crime you have conceived, sir. A wickedly calculated crime. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have been in the planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, intend to excavate the ground beneath this pawnbrokery with a broken shovel? What on earth do you propose I could expect to find there? Some long-forgotten treasure, I suppose. Save for such a fanciful theory, what possible reason could I have to do as you say? Ah, but there is ample reason. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, and your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let us consider what would motivate a man to infiltrate a shop such as this and covertly dig beneath its floor. The answer is revealed by the council notice on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. This letter gives notice of public works to be carried out in the local area. And according to the enclosed plan of the upcoming sewerage works, beneath this shop runs a sewer that adjoins another, one that runs under the bank on the opposite side of the road. This madness has entered the sewers now, has it? By excavating the ground beneath our feet, you would gain access to the waterway that flows in very close proximity to the great vault of the financial institution opposite. What are you... In summary, sir, you devised a master plan to pull off an elaborate bank robbery by dint of the underground tunnels. Master plan? Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. With what plunder did the thief hope to make off from the underground vault of the bank? Are you quite serious? Having consulted with Scotland Yard some days ago, I happen to know the answer. But naturally, the answer is no secret to you, is it, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. A postcard of the Great Exhibition? I'm afraid you've quite lost me. Currently in the final stages of preparation, the Great Exhibition will soon be underway, and the government has provided extra funds to complete its centerpiece, the Crystal Tower. Funds that currently sit in the vault of the bank on the other side of this road. Pardon? Yes, a considerable crime you have been contemplating. is the theft of that which sits in the vault of that bank, the special reserve funds for the great exhibition. Of course, that is top secret police information, so keep it under your hat, please. Thus conclude Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this pawnbroking puzzle. Mr. Sholmes. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, an impressively upbeat deduction for a detective racked with loneliness, would you not agree? Was it true what you said about the bank over the road and what it has in its vault? Indeed, though few know of its existence, it is one of the government's most closely guarded secrets. Gregson told me, in the strictest confidence. But you just announced it to everyone here, rather loudly, in fact. Ah, and if it's such a big secret, how would Mr. Benedict have come to find out about it? There can be but one explanation for that. Clearly, it is because the man is a criminal. But what if he didn't know anything about the money in the vault? If he is a criminal, as you said, then buying a brand new shovel is sure to be the first thing he does now that you've revealed the secret. Oh. Or if he doesn't, maybe Mr. Winterbeck will. He already has plenty of shovels here, after all. Oh, my life, I assure you I'm not so unscrupulous. Well, hopefully this has taught you a valuable lesson. Sensitive information must be handled with the utmost of care. One can never be sure that someone privy to secrets won't disclose them, and once the word is out, it's out. Perhaps I'll think twice before confiding in you next time, Mr. Sholmes. An excellent idea, Mr. Naruhodo. An excellent idea. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, you know what to do, I'm sure. Yeah, let's listen to that great deduction again and see if we can massage it into shape. Very well then, let us start once more from the beginning of Sherlock Holmes' magnificent logic and reasoning spectacular. Alright, Sholmes. Hold it. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured to this pawnbroker today. You claim to have followed this pickpocket here, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different, as revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, what brought you to the shop in the first place is the staff recruitment flyer. So, by Mr. Sholmes' reasoning, Mr. Benedict came here in order to apply for a job so he could dig down through the floor? Yes, in an attempt to tunnel into the sewers to gain access to the money in the vault of the bank across the road. But he wouldn't get very far with a broken shovel, would he? No, I think it's fair to say his motives lie elsewhere. The question is, where? What did bring Mr. Benedict here at this particular point in time? Well, if the answer is in his hand, then it must be the cane. That's a proper English gentleman's cane, isn't it? Look at the beautifully polished brass on the handle. Yes, but Mr. Sholmes is right. It is not the sort of handle you usually see on a cane. Perhaps it's the latest London fashion? I mean, that's just guesswork, of course. Perhaps you could adopt a cane, Mr. Naruhodo? It might rather suit you. I have a feeling it might argue with the sword around my waist. Okay, maybe I just turned around and I saw something else. I don't think it's the cane. It's this. Oh, look at all the scribbled notes on the back of the flyer here. I don't believe it. What is it? Listen to what it says. Name, Gina Lestrade. Height, 5'2". Green cap, scruffy waistcoat, grubby white shirt, blue satchel, ragged. It's a detailed description of Miss Lestrade. Goodness. There's even a sketch of her, hat and all. Although if you showed it to her, she'd fire that smoke grenade launcher in his face for sure. And look, the details of the shop have been written down here too. Windy Banks Brokery, Baker Street, redemption deadline 15th of April, which is today's date. Why would Mr. Benedict have all that information scrawled on the back of that piece of paper? There we go.
Take that!
Yes, what brought you to this shop in the first place is the info about Miss Lestrade. Quite so, my dear fellow. It would appear that the writing and sketch on the reverse of the flyer pertain to the pickpocket Mr. Lestrade and to Mr. Windybank's pawnbrokery here. Oh. You originally told us that you had merely given chase after Miss Lestrade. Miss Lestrade stole the redemption ticket from you. But that, sir, is a thinly veiled lie. It is the information on the back of the flyer that led you here today. By which I mean, here to Windy Bank's pawnbrokery, and today, the redemption deadline of that overcoat. So you waited outside for the young girl matching the description you have written down to arrive. And you have gone to some lengths to hide the reason for your pursuit of Miss Lestrade. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. The cane which you unwittingly clutched to your person exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. What utter rot! I've had this cane for years. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the missing ferrule. What's a ferrule? It is the metal cap commonly found on the end of a cane, Mr. Naruhodo. Ah, the bit that makes the nice clacking sound on the pavement. Yes, exactly. And Mr. Sholmes is right. It appears to be missing on this cane. But it doesn't actually look broken, does it? No, it doesn't. Though the gentleman certainly did recoil when Mr. Sholmes identified the cane as suspicious. In other words, there's some secret about the cane that Mr. Benedict would rather we don't know. I mean, the game literally just pointed at it. It's right there. He's not AG. He's EB or something? I don't know. Look here, Mr. Sato. There are some letters on the handle. Yes, those must be initials, I think. In the West, it is customary for people to engrave their belongings with the first letters of their names. So Sherlock Sholmes would be HS, you mean? That's right. And the initials on this cane obviously... Oh. AG. Why does it feel as though that's not quite right? That's not your name, buddy. Contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the initialing. A most astute observation, would you say, Mr. Eggert Benedict? We are led to believe, sir, that your initials are EB. Yet in a most possessive manner you have in your grasp a cane bearing the initials AG. An incontrovertible contradiction indeed. Would you not agree? No, you're wrong. This cane isn't... You said before that you had that cane for years. Ugh. So don't you try to tell us that you just borrowed it from a friend or found it in the park. In short, though you hold yourself to be a gentleman, you have withheld your true name. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? and in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. Let's consider the bare bones of what's happened here. Mr. Stroud redeemed that fine-looking overcoat, and now a mysterious man has appeared, introducing himself with a fake name and claiming that the overcoat belongs to him. But we know that he actually identified Mrs. Stroud from a written description, which suggests that everything else he's told us is untrue. So what we need to do here is somehow prove that the overcoat cannot possibly belong to him. Alright. Is the gentleman really the owner of the overcoat? Are there initials on the coat as well? Oh! Hey, what's this? Oh, the seam on the shoulder there is coming apart, look. So it is. Do you know, a moment ago when Mr. Benedict was surprised by something that was said, I thought I heard him make a rather strange noise. It sounded a bit like a tiny growl. But now I think it was probably the sound of the seam ripping open. If you look closely, it does seem to be a very tight fit. The sleeves are stretched to bursting, and he wouldn't have a hope of fastening it at the front. If he were to run around in it, I'm sure the whole thing would fall apart. That I'd like to see. Sorry? So how can we make Mr. Benedict run around? She's really giving this some thought. Yeah, there we go. The split seam, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. Yes, because the overcoat is rather obviously a poor fit. Having forced it over your broad shoulders, the seam is already breaking apart. My suspicions were aroused from the outset. When you so boldly lied about your name and so boldly waylaid this pickpocket, this catalog of untruths has all been for one very specific purpose. To steal the article that the young girl redeemed from Mr. Windybank. Oh! But what really irks me is this. The considerable crime I initially imagined has been considerably curtailed. To abscond. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in the planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, designed a wheeze to filch some tawdry article of coinage? Have you forgotten that I redeemed the article in the proper manner, using the watchword? Ha! Who? Had I not been the one to deposit it in the first place, how would I possibly have known the relevant details? N'est-ce pas? But the watchword can be discovered. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. And your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let us consider how one might come to learn a secret watchword relating to the pawned property of another. The method is revealed by the council notice on the counter, to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. The direction of the deduction must change rather dramatically now, I think. Yeah, no more talk of tunneling into the sewers. Which is a pity, because it all sounded rather exciting. Anyway, you can't deny that this mysterious gentleman did know the watchword. Yes, Professor. If you didn't know that word, Mr. Windybank would never allow you to redeem the article. Or, looking at it another way, if you did know that word, Mr. Windybank would allow you to redeem the article whether it was yours or not. So the question is, could this gentleman have found the watchword out somehow? It's not the notice, so what is it? Is it this? What does this say? Look at this, Mrs. Otto. Ah, it appears to be a memo that Mr. Winterbeck had scribbled to himself. Let's see, what does it say? Oh, Professor. Mr. Winterbeck must make a note of the watchwords his customers give him right before their eyes. And an alarmingly clear script as well. Oh dear, I don't know where to look. Who knows what other secrets I might see? Right. There we go.
Take that!
There's your answer. The method is revealed by the notelet on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. Yes, the broker here follows the same procedure whenever a customer comes to redeem an article. He asks the customer for the watchword and notes down the response uttered on a notelet he has to hand. Then he consults his ledger and confirms whether or not the watchword matches that of the article in question. I'd expect nothing less of a diligent pawnbroker. But his diligence clearly has its disadvantages. What are you talking about? It is increasingly apparent that you are present in this shop before your accusation against Miss Lestrade. In all likelihood, you followed her inside and then observed her talking to Mr. Winterbeck. When the diligent broker made a note of that watchword, as is his common practice, you observed him writing the word Professor on the notelet beside the ledger. And that, was the master plan you devised to steal the pawned article from the young Miss Lestrade. Master plan. Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. Why would you go to such lengths to redeem that particular article from this pawnbroker? Are you quite serious? For an ill-fitting overcoat hardly seems to justify the effort, much less a worthless music box disc. But naturally, you had very good reason to make them yours, didn't you, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. The articles we're talking about are the overcoat and the music box disc that was in one of the pockets, which according to Mr. Winterbeck isn't even worth a penny. And yet this man went to such lengths to steal them. Why? The wonder is perhaps we already have the evidence we need to explain it, Mr. Naruhodo. Could we? Really? I'd better have a thorough look through all the evidence we've collected so far. We just have this. Whoa. Oh. What's this now? It's all connected, man. Oh, there's a little scrap of paper stuck onto the reverse side of the disc. Look. And a scribbled word or two. It looks like somebody's name. For McGilded. McGilded? It couldn't be. But it is, Mr. Naruhodo. A name I shall never forget for as long as I live. But why? Why is his name on this? Is he one of McGilded's goons? Look at all the little bumps on the disc. They're so tiny. Yes, the protrusions are called pins, and they pluck the teeth of the comb to make notes. And just on the edge, there's a small amount of blood. Yeah, the blood of the mysterious Mr. Eggert Benedict. When Miss Lestrade tried to grab the disc from him, the pins scratched his fingers, it seems. Like when you're grating some daikon radish and accidentally catch your finger. Ouch. Just thinking about it hurts and puts me off eating radish. Alright, so it wasn't because of the disc. It's not a disc, it's something else. Maybe it's a message, a voice message for Mr. McGilded.
Take that!
You see, this music box disc tells us all we need to know. What's that? On the back. It reads, "For McGilded." Mr. Magnus McGilded, the unfortunate philanthropist who perished in curious circumstances at the Old Bailey 2 months ago. A prominent man in London, though his loan-mongering demonstrated a distinct lack of scruples. So, you're an associate of his, are you? Or perhaps a subordinate? Mr. McGilded was a man of unusually small stature. In fact, he was precisely the right size for that overcoat that you've squeezed yourself into. Ugh. Your true identity remains shrouded in mystery, Mr. Eggert Benedict. But the final conclusion here is crystal clear. The reason you came to this pawnbrokery today was to retrieve an article left behind by the late Magnus McGilded. Well, well, Mr. Magnus McGilded. Not a name I expected to hear in these circumstances. Mr. Sholmes, I'm afraid there's something very troubling on my mind. Pray tell, Mrs. Otto. Well, according to what Mr. Windybank told us earlier, today was the final day on which the coat could have been redeemed, was it not?
Yes, Mum, that is correct. Today will be precisely 10 months since it was first deposited.
Well, today is 15th of April, so 2 months ago today
Would have been 15th of February, sir, that's right. It's all carefully recorded in my ledger. Deposited at 10:30 p.m., I see.
What? But that suggests... Yes, 15th of February. It's precisely the day on which the omnibus murder took place. And 10:30 in the evening is precisely the time at which the terrible events were unfolding. Suggestive is not the word. It would seem the matter is entirely beyond coincidence. You are, of course, at liberty to make whatever outlandish deductions you choose. However, I must insist you hand over the music box disc now. It would be a terrible shame for you to return to your native land in a box. What do I do? No. There are some things a man must protect at all costs. This may well be one of those things. Then again, it may not.
Miss Windybank, this is my shop. I can't allow anyone to come to my customers. If that would happen, I should have to take my own life.
Mr. Windybank, no. Alright. Alright, that's enough. Yep. Inspector Gregson. Inspector?
That's right, sunshine. The alarm was raised on one of our dedicated emergency lines. So we got here as fast as we could. Now, what's all this about, eh? Oh, praise be, you're here at last. As moments ago from forfeiting my own life in my very own establishment.
It would seem you have the upper hand.
Right, you're up. I've got some explaining to do. I don't appreciate being bothered with some petty argy-bargy.
Petty? Mr. Winterback very nearly met with his end.
Yeah, boys, I haven't gone as far as I can tell. Oh dear. Oh, the whole of Britain cut me with his hand if I don't get to the bottom of the case I'm supposed to be working on.
What? What on earth is the case, Inspector? Spare no detail, Gregson.
Oh, I might have said a little too much. No matter, it's nothing to do with you lot. Anyway, sir, you're gonna have to come with me down to the station.
But of course, Inspector.
Ah! He's getting away! Get after him, lads! We should have beat officer too! Sir! There's been a spate of thefts at pawn shops around here recently. So if it's emergency buttons underneath the counters for brokers to let us know when there's trouble. Oh, Inspector, I was very worried there for a while. Very worried indeed. And Mr. Permanently in morning.
Oh, yes?
I'll be taking that whatever it is that Mr. McGee is down to the yard. Thank you very much. So hand it over.
Oh, yeah, of course.
No, don't give it to him. It's mine, that is. Mine. I'm sorry, miss, but everything belonging to McGill did has to be taken in as evidence now.
As evidence? If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. Capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector.
Ugh.
And so we handed Mr. McGilda's desk over to Inspector Gregson, and were summarily turfed out of the shop and onto the street. To be continued. April 15th, Baker Street.
See, that's why I hate grown-ups. All I do is feed you pack of lies that take stuff away from you.
Oh, really, Mr. Strand? Tell me, is that overcoat keeping you warm?
What?
Oh my, surely you were given that?
Yeah, the D let me keep it after I looked days at him for long enough. He went through the pockets and said, "Go on then, have it," before telling me to scrap her. Always pays off giving people a look while you're at him. Always pays off giving people a look like you ate him.
I can't help feeling that it's gonna get you into serious trouble one day.
What I really wanted was that nice shiny disc, mine.
The music box disc. But Mr. Winterbank said it was practically worthless.
I think I'm gonna go and have another bash. Give him a long, hard stare.
I think not, Mr. Strand. We shan't enter Winterbank's again today.
Why not? That's not fair.
It can't be helped. It can't be helped, I'm afraid. The police are investigating the scene now and taking a statement from Mr. Winterbank.
But this is mine. I had the ticket for this coat, and it was in the coat pocket. And there should be something else and all. That's what that rotten cove says, innit?
Yeah, he did mention something about another article, didn't he?
Well then, that's mine too. Whatever it is.
Now she's really pushing her luck. Mr. Strand, I think it's time to admit defeat. You've had your haul for the day.
Yeah, and it's all your fault, Sholmes.
So what are your plans now? Will you dine with us this evening?
Aye?
Harris would be delighted to cook, I'm sure, and I might entertain you with a modest violin recital.
No, Ta. Oh. Oh. Why would I come round your place, eh? Have you lost your head or something?
Oh dear, she's gone.
Having reviled on me quite unnecessarily, I might add.
I can't help wondering if perhaps she might turn up anyway.
Interesting.
Once she's had a chance to calm down, I think there's a good chance she'll decide to come.
Very well then. I'll inform Iris to set a place for our potential guest at the dinner table this evening. And one more thing. I should be glad of your company later, too.
Sorry?
I believe I will have a rather splendid surprise to show you.
Oh, how exciting. What is it?
You shall have to wait and see, Mr. Sato. Until later, then.
Huh. Alright. Let's look around here while we can. Look at all the different things in the window of this shop. Ah, that is Windybank's, the pawnbrokery. It looks much smarter than a pawnbroker's in Japan, doesn't it? Yes, you're right. I find pawn shops at home rather inapproachable, personally. It reminds me of tearfully parting with my favorite fountain pen. I felt so miserable. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, Mr. Naruhodo.
You know what? You've got a point there. You've got a very good point.
Oh, it's already been 2 months since we started taking lodgings here above Mr. Sholmes' office. I still can't quite believe it. I never expected things would turn out like this. Oh, I know. To actually be sharing accommodation with the world's greatest detective. If I ever find myself before a court of law now, I will have not one regret.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I'd be happy to defend you, of course.
Okay, I didn't know that the shop was this close.
It's just right there.
Alright. Let's go inside. Let's go back to the apartment and see what's going on. See what's happening. What the haps is. What the haps is.
Ah, Susie and Rona. Come in, come in.
Good afternoon, Iris. Thank you so much for breakfast this morning.
Ah, don't mention it. Goodness, look at the time already.
Busy as always?
I am. I'm preparing everything for dinner this evening.
Already? You're obviously cooking something special, are you?
Oh, yes. After all, we have a special guest joining us. Guess who it is? Go on. Hee, you'll never guess.
Look at those little eyes of hers shining. Oh dear, it is awkward when you already know the answer, isn't it?
It's Jenny! Isn't that exciting?
Oh, what a surprise! Yes, that is wonderful news. Wow, Iris seems overjoyed at the idea.
I can't wait to learn some pickpocketing tips from a real professional.
Oh, yeah, that does sound like fun. I'm not sure that's entirely appropriate. Are you, Mr. Naruhodo?
By the way, Iris, what's Mr. Sholmes up to? Early? Oh, he's been like that since he got back.
Hello, Mr. Sholmes.
I beg that you won't speak to me. Sorry? I don't know who you are, but kindly take your leave. As you can see, I am not here.
I don't know how to respond to that.
I do apologize. When he gets like this, he's completely oblivious to everything.
Yes, I see.
Really, he behaves just like a child sometimes, Early does.
Mr. Sholmes and Iris have something of a parent and child relationship, don't they? Yeah, except that Iris is clearly the parent here. Come to think of it, I wonder where her real parents are.
What's the matter, Reno? You have ever such a funny look on your face.
Oh, no, it's nothing.
I know what it is. Why does this girl live here with Mr. Sholmes, you're wondering? Am I right?
How? How did you...
Hehe. Oh, Rono, I can read you like a book.
Oh, this girl is dangerous.
Don't worry, you can ask me anything. I won't mind.
Alright, where are your parents?
Oh.
Would you mind if I showed you this, Iris? It's just a boring old thing, really.
Oh, I don't really like boring things.
Looks like Japanese modesty is easily misinterpreted by young Western children.
I mean, who does like boring things? No one wants to be shown something boring. Come to think of it, you're always introducing things with, this is boring, but it's a bad habit. You should stop it.
I'll be sure to let the entire population of the Empire of Japan know on my return. Alright. Looks like I've been decimated. Can I try my luck with Sholmes again? Is there anything new that changed here? The violin? I've investigated thoroughly, but I can't find anything out of place. Oh. Now this really is Mr. Sholmes' faithful performing partner then. The Scrapifarius? No, it's no good, it's gone. The virtuoso's violin that he found in a pawnbroker's and managed to buy for next to nothing. After all we went through to get it back, he's just cast it aside on that chair. I was looking forward to hearing the beautiful sound it makes when Mr. Sholmes plays it. It does look rather sorry for itself there, doesn't it? Although, at least Wagahi hasn't attacked it yet, even if his eyes are saying it's only a matter of time. So, Mr. Sholmes, what are you so engrossed in? Did you not hear? I am not here! Of course you're not. I cannot think why the whole bed of the ocean is not one solid mass of oysters, so prolific the creatures seem. He won't even turn around and look at me. It's best just to leave him alone. He's in one of his moods like this. Yeah, I can see that. Alright, well, I guess I've got you to talk to, don't I? So, by Ginny, you mean Miss Lestrade, the young woman from the McGilded case 2 months ago, right? Yeah. Who else stole my experimental smoke grenade launcher? Although, after that trial, I invited her back here, and we had dinner together. And now we're the best of friends. Oh, hee, what a lovely tale. Yeah, now if I bump into her on the street, she runs away as fast as she can. Oh. And I chase after her down the back alleys. Interesting idea of friendship. And then I let her have the latest color of smoke grenade I've developed. Oh. There are so many beautiful colors in the world. Jenny wants me to make a whole rainbow. I suppose this means you've let Miss Lestrade keep the smoke grenade launcher, have you? Yeah, that's right. I got bored of it anyway. Hurley always reacts the same way when I shoot him with it now. Poor Hurley. Oh, I can't wait for Jenny to arrive. It's been too long since she last came over. I'm so excited. I just hope she does actually come. How old is she? Oh. Alright. I was gonna make a joke, but I'm not gonna do it anymore. I'm sure you've been wondering why it is that I live here with Hurley, haven't you? Well, it has crossed my mind. That and where are your real parents? My mummy and daddy aren't with me anymore. Mummy passed away when I was born. And around the same time, my father, well, he had to go to a faraway land because of one of the cases he and Early were working on. Oh, wait a minute. Did you say he and Hurley? Yeah. Daddy and Early were always solving mysterious cases together. She didn't mention that before. He wrote them all up in his diaries. That's what's in the metal chest over there. Really? He recorded them all?
So, you mean it's true? Mr. Sholmes really did have a partner with whom he tackled some of his most taxing cases?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's always nice to have one, isn't it?
So Mr. Sholmes' partner was your father?
Exactly. Early told me I wasn't allowed to look in the chest, but that only made me want to look even more. So I opened it up and
found your father's memoirs.
Yeah, so I asked Early, who wrote these? He nearly fell off his chair. But then he told me. That's when I found out that the author of all those accounts was my father.
So Iris's father was Mr. Sholmes' partner.
Interesting. Do go on, Iris. I've practically lived with Hurley all my life. I was tiny when he took me in. So, it came as quite a shock when Hurley told me he wasn't really my daddy. I mean, it must have done.
I wonder why Mr. Sholmes chose to tell you, and at such a young age.
Hurley says it's because he wouldn't have been able to hide it from me.
Oh?
Well, having lived with Hurley all these years, you might say that his ways have rubbed off on me. There are some things I can just see. Especially lies. I almost know when people are lying before they open their mouths sometimes.
Right.
Anyway, I was so fascinated when I read Daddy's diaries. That's what inspired me to write The Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, actually.
I'd always assumed Mr. Sholmes simply told you all those thrilling stories.
Oh no, Early's hopeless like that. He forgets everything. As soon as he's solved a case, it all but vanishes from his mind.
Oh, I see.
The other day, it was so embarrassing. As usual, he totally forgot about the case he just solved. So the very next day, he gathered together all the people involved and proceeded to solve the case again. It was quite a shock for everyone.
You can say that again. You share your father's surname, don't you, Iris?
That's right, Wilson. Daddy is Dr. John H. Wilson. I learned from his diaries that he's a doctor of medicine, you see. That's what prompted me to study and study so that I could earn a doctorate as well.
Iris's father, who went to some distant land and is a doctor by the name of John H. Wilson. Wait a minute. The court will now hear the trial of Renosuke Naruhodo. Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in this case.
The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. That's right. Visiting professor of medicine at Imperial Yume University. And the man who, in the most bizarre of circumstances, lost his life just before we left Japan.
Mr. Sato, Yes. Perhaps we shouldn't pursue this conversation any further at this time. I think that would be for the best.
Ah, my dear fellows, how good to see you.
Eek, Mr. Sholmes.
Why ever did you not make your presence known to me before? Well, no matter now. So, how the devil are you?
We've been with you for the most of the day.
Goodness, really?
Do tell me, Mr. Sholmes, is your violin unscathed?
My violin? Whatever are you talking about, dear madam?
Oh,
Never mind that now. I have something far more interesting to show you. Behold, my dear fellows.
Oh, another music box disc.
No, not another disc, Mr. Sauter. This is the one Gregson demanded we hand over as evidence. Mr. McGilded's disc.
Oh my. Then what's it doing here?
You know, at times, Mr. Naruhodo, I think that though I have an undeniable turn for detection, I may well be even more adept at larceny.
Oh, that would be wonderfully exciting. I'd be your pickpocketing assistant. And Bruno could be our go-to lawyer if we ever got caught.
Right. Plus, Susie has such beautiful handwriting, she could write all our menacing crime notifications.
Yes, I'd be delighted. Just gonna pretend that this conversation never happened, I think. Alright then. I don't understand. How did that disc come to be in your possession? I thought Inspector Gregson took it back to Scotland Yard.
Quite correct. And that sort of uncompromising attitude is precisely why I always carry some of this.
That is a bar of caramel, Mr. Sholmes.
Your one and only friend in times of loneliness, if I'm not mistaken. If you will humor me, my dear fellows, cast your minds back to when the good detective confiscated the disc.
I'll be taking that whatever it is of McGilded down to the yard. Thank you very much. Signing over.
Oh, yes, of course. If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. For the briefest of moments, I had the disc in my hand, did I not? Yeah, you did, but I still don't understand. It was precisely at that moment that I summoned my one and only friend into action. I pressed the disc into a pair of bars like this. That's amazing. The disc and all the minuscule protrusions have made an image in the caramel. Indeed, this caramel is quite exceptional. I developed it myself, you know. Suitably soft for making impressions, but resistant to melting. The result of a precisely controlled solution.
How extraordinary.
Carrying a pair of these on one's person frequently proves very useful indeed. Take a house key, for example. A simple press, and its unique form is duplicated. I can enter anyone's property at will, and never without high sucrose nourishment. Yeah, it sounds illegal. From the image I was able to create this. I confess I was most curious to know what manner of music would issue from the disc when played.
So, do tell us then, Mr. Sholmes, what music does the disc play?
Well, unfortunately, I have no idea.
No idea?
None whatsoever.
Are you familiar with the workings of a music box, my dear fellow? No, I'm afraid not.
Goodness, you don't know, Reno? Inside a music box, there's a special metal piece called a comb. That's what produces the sound. Small protuberances plot the different teeth of the comb as they rotate past it, making the different notes. The first music boxes to be invented used a rotating cylinder with protuberances on it.
But over time, a new type of player was produced, which uses discs such as these. With that development, the popularity of music boxes spread far and wide, all around the globe.
Why exactly?
Because the discs are easy to produce and can be interchanged to facilitate the playing of different tunes. There are a great many firms in Europe now manufacturing music boxes as a result.
It is wonderful to be able to enjoy music even when no performer is present.
But it is the very success of the invention that means we are now presented with an insurmountable problem. What do you mean? As you may imagine, the construction of one firm's music box does not match that of another, and we have no way of knowing in which music box this particular disc was designed to be played. There is no resolution to this problem, I'm afraid. It is quite intractable. Ah, I see. So that's why... Naturally, I tested the disc in those few music boxes I have at my disposal. But as you can hear, to no avail. The results were equally unsatisfactory in this one. So, I am presently engaged in acquiring an example of all the music boxes ever made in Europe.
Every single one?
That's hardly fair. Always taking things too far. But my dear girl, an unsolved riddle is quite repugnant to my constitution. But surely all the different types in Europe will amount to a huge volume of music boxes, won't it? Yes, that is certainly true, in the worst case. I shall just have to ask you to vacate the attic room.
What? Hold on a minute.
Magnus McGilded. Not a name I expected to hear again so soon.
Yeah, it's only been 2 months since that grisly case. Mr. McGilded perished within hours of the trial's conclusion. Was it the curse of the Reaper? No one knows, still now. The omnibus was reduced to a pile of ash. Not a shred of evidence remained. And with the man's death, the truth about the murder in which he was so intimately involved was buried. Even though we successfully established Mr. McGilded's innocence in the trial, the newspapers are still claiming that it remains an unsolved case. Well, to be fair, it is. The murder of the brickmaker, Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason. In the end, the truth of the matter remains a mystery. We still have no idea what really happened that night. And although Mr. McGilded was found not guilty through my defense, I still don't know if that was the right judgment or not.
It would appear the case is not yet closed. Well, it's time I start getting things ready for dinner, I think. Ginny will be here before long. Thank you, Iris.
Oh, Well, you must let me help you then.
Of course, Susie. There's plenty to do. I think I shall investigate the condition of my faithful performing partner. Now then, where did I leave it?
Let this be a lesson to you, Mr. Sholmes. Never leave anything too precious with the pawnbroker.
Yes. You may be right.
Oh, that reminds me of something Mr. Windibank said before. He said that he had the manuscript of Iris's in pawn, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah, he definitely mentioned it. Mr. Sholmes's latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom, were his words, I believe.
So you heard about that, did you? I expect you were as incensed as I was.
Oh yes, the idea of such a wonderful story languishing in Mr. Windibank's storeroom, gathering dust.
My dear madam, I am quite sure I told you already.
The pawnbroker's storeroom is the safest place for it, more secure than a bank's vault.
And what about your Stradivarius, Early? Was that safe and secure? Well, there may be the occasional mix-up,
caused by a certain impetuous someone not too far from you now.
Do you have any idea how long it took me to write that Bakersville story, eh? Early?
Oh, it sounds so exciting. The Hound of the Baskervilles. I should love to read it. Hup. Oh. What's going on here? Why does it feel like an icy chill just swept through the room?
Susie, what did you just say?
You said
The Hound of the Baskervilles. But how could you know the full title?
well, that's because Mr. Sato is such a great fan of all the stories by Mrs. Sholmes, of course.
But Runa, The Hound of the Baskervilles has never been published.
What?
When I showed Early the manuscript, he told me that I wasn't allowed to publish it yet.
I don't understand.
That's why he said that he'd keep it safe until it was the right time for the story to be made public, you see.
So that's why the manuscript is at Windibank's.
And yet, how could Susie here know his title? Well, Early, what's going on?
Ah. What is it, Mr. Sholmes?
It would appear our guest has arrived.
Mr. Strahd.
This was a bad idea. I knew I wasn't welcome. I'm going.
No, wait! Mr. Strahd. We've all been eagerly awaiting your arrival. Haven't we, Iris?
Oh, yes. Just wait there, Ginny. We'll have everything ready in a jiffy. Come along, Susie.
Right, of course. It is a pleasure to see you here, Mr. Strahd. Please, make yourself at home.
Don't stand in the doorway, my dear girl. Come along in. What say you to some Mendelssohn? I won't take no for an answer.
Meddlesome it is, then. That evening, Iris prepared us all a meal that was even more delicious than usual. Mr. Sholmes' violin performance was in no way meddlesome, and Gina, as we came to call her, taught us all how to steal things from one another without being noticed. Everyone thoroughly enjoyed themselves well into the night. April 15th, 9:34 p.m., Naruhodo's Legal Consultancy. That was a very enjoyable evening, wasn't it? Oh yes, Iris's cooking was truly divine, and I feel as though I can still hear the enchanting strains of Mr. Sholmes's violin even now. Best of all, I bet I could steal the glasses from his lordship's face next time we are in court. Naruhodo-san, could I consult with you about something, I wonder? What's the matter, Susaru-san? It is about the telegram I received. Ah. The one that arrived first thing this morning, I suppose. I've been summoned. What? Summoned? What do you mean summoned? The telegram was from the Lord Chief Justice's office. Lord Strongheart has asked to see me. The Lord Chief Justice? When? Tomorrow morning. What? Then we have to start preparing at once. Oh, no, that won't be necessary, Naruhodo-san. I've been summoned alone. Alone? What on earth for? I have no idea. I suppose I shall find out tomorrow. What's all this about? Whatever it is, it's making me feel very uneasy. Oh. Who could that be, I wonder? Good evening, friends. Ah, Iris. Hello again. And Gina too. Yeah, Ginny's gonna stay with us tonight. She's gonna sleep in with me. Isn't that right, Ginny? Well, yeah. How lovely. Let me make a pot of tea. You know, I've learnt so much today. Oh, what in particular? All those things Jenny showed us, wasn't it wonderful? You mean all those pickpocketing techniques? We had fun trying them out on each other, didn't we? I think I've awakened a natural talent. I could earn a living from it. You might be getting ahead of yourself a little there. So, what brings me up to our humble quarters at this late hour? Well, you see, I came to return this. Wait, what? That's mine. Oh my, however did you... I told you, didn't I? I have a natural talent for it. Oh yeah, I've forgotten. Iris literally is a child genius. So anyway, yeah, you can have it back. Not that I really understand why you wear it though. Thank you. Alright then, good night. Yes, good night. So this is your office, is it? What do you think, Jenny? I think I won't fancy me chances where I what lives in a place like this. Yes, me too. Seems as though Iris here still has something she'd like to talk about. I suppose she probably wants to talk about the manuscript. Yeah, I suppose she probably does. So, Iris, I suppose you're hoping to talk about the manuscript, aren't you? Aren't you going to tell me? I'm so sorry. I need a little more time. Please.
Alright, I understand. I hope I haven't made you feel awkward.
Oh no, not at all, Iris. Not at all.
I don't know what this is about really, but it's a story you made up, is it, Iris? This manuscript, or whatever you call it? It's not exactly a story that I made up. It's something I read in Daddy's diaries. Daddy's? That's right. I don't suppose I mentioned it to you before, Jenny, but my daddy was Early's assistant once. His partner. Eh? They solved all sorts of strange and mysterious cases together. Is that right, mister?
Apparently so. I was as surprised as you are, though.
And Daddy wrote all the details of every single case down, you see, in his diaries. So I study them and write my stories based on what actually happened. So, where's your old man now, eh? He had to go away on urgent business to a faraway land, and he'll be gone a very long time. So, I've never really met him. Oh, right.
Come to think of it, I don't know anything about Gina's parents either. Perhaps you should ask her. Hey Gina, where are your parents? I've realized that I don't know anything about your parents, Gina.
I ain't got any, have I? Never did have.
Oh.
Look, the East End's full of orphans like me. No one wants nothing to do with us from the minute we were born, not even our mums. But we all stick together. The older ones look after the little ones and make sure they get by.
So that is why you're a pickpocket.
Nah, diving's my life. I love it. I'll get a kick out of it every time I lift some pompous idiot's purse. That's how we all afford to eat. I'm like Robin Hood, innit? That's how I see it.
Oh, Gina.
I do think about it sometimes. What it'd be like to have parents, I mean. I always thought it'd make everything right. But I haven't listened to what Iris just said. Sounds like having parents ain't always easy either. Oh. I mean, if you know you never had them, you don't feel like you're always wanting to meet them. It's true. I do want to see Daddy so much.
Oh, Iris.
Alright, well. So, anyway.
Iris, this Hound of the Baskervilles story. I take it that it's another tale inspired by your father's account?
That's right. I thought it was fascinating. But it's different somehow. From the other cases, I mean.
Oh, different how?
I don't really know. But it must be special in some way. Because after I'd written it and I showed the manuscript to Early, he turned as white as a sheet. It was the first time I've ever seen him like that.
It pains me to have to say this after you have told over it for so long, Iris, but this story must not be published at this time, under any circumstances.
But why not? It's one of my best works.
I am not at liberty to say. Not now, so please, do not ask me.
Alright then, I won't.
But I do solemnly swear that I will explain everything one day, Iris, when the time is right.
And that's how the manuscript came to be with Mr. Windybank, is it? Yes. Ellie said he had to be somewhere very safe. That really gets me gout, that does. He's treating you like a child. It's mean, that's what it is. Keep his secrets like that. I'm sure Mr. Sholmes isn't trying to be mean. If he said he wasn't at liberty to talk about it, I'm sure there must have been a very good reason.
I think so too.
You lot are too trusting for your own good. But he can't pull a wool over me eyes. Sholmes is lying to Iris. I'll bet my life on it. What? Hurley's lying to me?
What are you talking about?
Gina, what did you mean when you said that you know Mr. Sholmes is lying to Iris? Well, he reckons he popped that metal script or whatever, right? But come on, that's obviously a load of rubbish.
Oh my, why would you think that, Gina?
It's simple. If that story was really in old Windybank's storeroom, there's no way someone from halfway around the world, in other words you, could know about it.
Oh.
Sorry, Iris, but if you ask me, he sold it. Without telling you. But Haley would never do something like that. I'm sure of it. Ha! Grown-ups do a lot worse than that, believe me. Bare-faced liars, a lot of them. You just ain't realised it yet. I'm telling you, that metal script ain't at Windybank's. You'd soon see if you had a look. Even if you think you can trust him, I don't. That chump is a liar like the rest of them. If I'm honest, I have wondered if Early's telling me the truth sometimes. See? Oh, but I don't mean that I think he sold it. I mean that I sometimes wonder if he might have hidden my manuscript somewhere. Somewhere I don't know. Even though it's wrong of me to doubt him.
Don't be too hard on yourself, Iris.
Oh, my goodness. Look at the time. Come along, Jenny. We should go back downstairs.
Yeah, alright.
And please, don't mention any of this to Hurley, will ya?
No, of course not. Good night then, Iris.
Good night, Gina.
You must let me make breakfast for you tomorrow morning. I insist.
Oh, yes, please. I can't wait, Susie. Good night, then.
Iris. It sure is easy to forget, isn't it? Sometimes she speaks just like an adult, but deep down, she's still just a child. Well, I think it is time that I turned in for the night too, Naruhodo-san.
Dr. John H. Wilson, Iris's father, but also the name of the murdered visiting professor at Ume University. It can't be a mere coincidence. There's something deeper going on.
Mr. Naruhodo. Mr. Naruhodo.
That voice. That's... Oh, Mr. Sholmes. What's going on? It's the middle of the night. It's Miss Lestrade. She's gone. Gina? She was supposed to be sleeping in Iris's room, but her bed is empty. Well, she is an independent young woman. She probably decided to go home, no? I think not.
From speaking to her before she retired, I had received the distinct impression that she was looking forward to breakfasting with Mr. Sato. Now, I don't believe the girl has gone home, but I have been waiting for over an hour now. Over an hour? Oh, if you'll indulge me. Look out of the window, my dear fellow.
What's this about? Wait a minute. Why is there a light on at this time of night?
That's Mr. Windybank's pawnbrokery.
Mr. Windybank's... Oh no. It's simple. If that store was really an old Windybank storeroom, there's no way someone from halfway around the world, in other words, you, could know about it. Sorry, Iris, but if you ask me, he sold it. Without telling you. Could Gina have gone?
It seems you have some knowledge of the situation, Mr. Naruhodo.
Sorry? Oh, no. No, not really.
Well, anyway, we must investigate. At once.
Oh, at once. Mr. Sato. Alright. The hell is she up to? The door to Windybank's, it's open. And the lamp is burning. It must be Gina, mustn't it?
Let us hope it's nothing more sinister.
What?
Come, there's not a moment to lose. Clearly something is afoot inside.
There's no one here.
Oh yes, there is.
Mr. Sholmes! Mr. Sholmes! What the? Has Sholmes been shot?
Leave me, Mr. Naruhodo.
But after them, go! Right. Blast! I've lost him. Hello, what have we here? The alarm was just raised from this pawnbroker, sir. Would you know something about that? Officer, come with me. It's my friend, Mr. Sholmes. He's been shot. Shot? With the policeman close behind me, I ran back to Windybank's.
Mr. Sholmes!
Mr. Naruhodo!
How bad is it? Never mind me, but there's much at stake. Behind that door. In the storeroom. Hurry! It's Gina!
To be continued.